This is a video about security cameras. You can see I have security cameras at my house. These communicate wirelessly with the base station, and I have 4 of them, and the base station records continuously for well, I got a 2 terabyte hard drive in it. I think it'll record about 3 days, 4 cameras for 3 days, and then it starts overriding the older recordings. And I set that up a while ago because somebody was stealing our mail, and somebody actually went in our backyard. I have one up here. I also have a big light, spotlight with a motion sensor. So it comes on at night when somebody walks by or somebody walks up to the house in the driveway. I have a couple more on the sides. This side over here, one pointing forward to the front and one pointing to the back, because we've had people go in our backyard. And these have night vision, but these are pretty old, and I had a friend ask me to install some security cameras, and these actually, you can see that in my there's no room over the top of my garage, and so to get power to these, you're not going to want anything operating on batteries. You're going to want power to these all the time. So it was pretty easy to pass the power wire through a small hole and get it into the attic space above the garage. And then I passed the wire through, and you can see I have 2 of them plugged in here in this outlet. They have little transformers because they run on DC. And I'm not sure, here's how I get up in the attic. So I'm not sure how I plugged the other 2 in right now, but I'm sure they're plugged in up in the attic somewhere. Anyway, this client I had, I went in her attic and there was no way to get to the outside wall. It was such a terrible situation there that I gave up on trying to install something like these cameras. And the technology's advanced a lot, such that when I went online, the one kind of camera that I could find that didn't require a transformer, in other words, the power supply is internal, is these. And I'm going to put a link in the description so you can link to these or anything like these. It's a regular light bulb socket, and I have a bunch of those sockets. In fact, I have here, I think I bought like a dozen of them. So they look like that. Has one little screw that you can screw it to something. Didn't have any good pictures here, but I actually bought those so that I could replace some compact fluorescent bulbs I had around the house that were using ballasts, and it was hard to get replaced. They had a different type of socket and bulb that was getting harder to find and more expensive, so I've been replacing a lot of my sockets with these regular sockets, so I can just buy regular LED bulbs and plug them in when they burn out. Anyway, that's a different story. But I went ahead and bought these because they have a lot of features and I can just buy regular extension wire and run this to normal power, and I won't have a transformer like I have up there that has to hang out, especially since in her house I can't get it was very hard to get the power outside, and I certainly didn't want to have one of those little transformers sticking around every camera. So these were really cheap. They're like $30 for a pair, but the memory that comes with it is very little, so I had to buy SD cards. There's an SD card that plugs in right here. There's a reset button there too. You can see it has little lights, little LED lights. It has both white lights and IR lights. The camera's in the middle there. You can see that it's going to hang down, and it pans around. It pans around almost 360 degrees, but then it stops and you have to go the other direction. So you have to be careful about how you mount it so that you can see everything in one sweep. If you're going to sweep it, it also pans up and down and turns around. And so I made a little box, because around here, if it's not in a box, you could look at my cameras outside carefully and see that the birds have been pooping all over them. They like to make nests on top of them, and it's a problem. So these were small enough and easy enough to make a box for, so I made a little box. And let's see, what are the dimensions? It's about I think it's it's 3 1/4 on the inside. So if you get 8, 9, if you make these, so 4 of these, say it's a 6x1 board. You get a 6x1 board and you cut 4 inches each, 4 of these 4 inches each, and you lap them like this. One here butts up against that one, and that butts up against this one, and this butts up against this one. And then you put screws through here and here, and about 6 or more screws. You can put it together like this. But then to get this socket to center inside, like it is there, you see I had to make a 1 inch thick little board that a little spacer, I guess, that I bolted on. I screwed it in there. Right there, I screwed it in, and then I screwed the socket on to there, just at the right spot where when it hangs down, the camera hangs down below. Most of the camera gets covered by the box, but it hangs down far enough that it can see everything you want to see without, without the edge of the box interfering with your view. And then once I get it all put together, I connect the cord on here, and I tape this up with electrical tape, and then I close it with a little piece of kind of scraps around here, galvanized steel, sheet steel. I screw this on with a couple screws because I don't want the birds getting in, making a nest in here. So it has a lid on the box, and after I screw it together, I cover those screw holes. I countersink those so that the screw goes into the wood, and I use like a mud like this, drywall mud, with a putty knife, and I cover up the screw holes. See, there's two of them, one there and one, or maybe not, I can't remember. You can see there's one there, and there's one there. There's one there, and there's one there where I screwed that block on. There's one down there. And so I covered those up, a couple coats of mud, sanded it down, and then painted it to kind of match her trim at her house. And then I used one or two of these ankle brackets. Those are the small ones you can get at Home Depot, or you probably even at Walmart. Anyway, I have this so now I can plug it in. Of course, now that I have it all connected, if I want to put this through a hole in the side of the house, I'm going to have to cut this off. Otherwise, I have to make a hole as big as this plug-in, which I don't want to do. Right, then I have all kinds of critters, wasps and bees going inside. I mean, I can always close it up with caulk, but I'd rather make the smallest hole I can. So what I could do is I could make the hole and pass this other end through before I connect it to the light bulb. By the way, when you connect it to that light bulb socket, this side goes to the black wire, or the gold. Okay, this is line 1, and this is the common on this side. The common side of any household plug, see the left side here, has a bigger slot than the right side. So this is the common one that goes to ground, actually, in your breaker box. And this is the hot one that goes to the breaker. And this is the safety ground. We don't really need safety ground. Light bulbs don't have them. If you have a lamp, it may or may not. Usually they don't. You just have two. And by the way, the code on that, if you're going to plug a light bulb in, you want the hot wire to be in that button in the middle. If you look inside of a socket, that button gets the hot wire, and that would be, I don't know which one of these it is, because this one doesn't have a big blade side, but this one is. Most extension cords are going to be polarized. You can see that this blade on this side is wider than this blade, and so it has to go, it won't go in the plug this way. It has to go in this way. Okay, that's just a safety feature in houses. So let's see, I talked about the box. There's the camera, and let me go ahead and screw the camera in. You can do this, just be careful, don't manhandle the thing. Get it in that socket. You can see that it has, with the size that I told you, it's a 6x1 board that I used, which means that's the nominal size. The actual size is 5.5 by 3/4. The thickness is 3/4 of an inch. So if you use those sizes and you screw that in at the right place, it's going to stick down. There's the camera. Right now, the camera is going to see the edge of this, so I want the camera to point down more. And I'll do that. I can do that on the app. I'll set it up exactly where I want it. I can pan it all day and look around what I want, but when I'm finished playing with it, okay, I'm going to set it in a certain direction, and I want it to behave like a security camera, which is not going to be looking around all day. It's going to be pointed in a particular spot, like a front door. I want to know if somebody's stealing stuff off the porch. I want to know if somebody's stealing mail. I want to know if somebody's walking in my backyard, and so on. So I have to have enough of these that I can point them in certain places and turn on the motion detection. And if it's in a busy place, like the front door, there might be, birds flying by and so on. There may be all kinds of things happening at the front door that you don't want to get alerted about. So I set my sensitivity to low, and I'm going to go on the app. So I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to go on the app and show you how I set it up to behave kind of like a Ring camera on somebody's doorbell, but I want it up high, so I'm mounting these up high like my other cameras, up in the eaves, up in the soffits, so that nobody can just grab it and unscrew it. I mean, this is made, you can put this in your little light bulb socket on your outdoor light, but if you do that, like let's say you put it right here and here, somebody could come and just unscrew it and take it, right? And they can take this bulb, but this bulb only cost me $1, right? So I want to get it up higher, and I don't want people to be able to turn it off by accident inside, so it has to have power all the time. And I set it up for motion detection, and then it's going to record events for me, and it's going to send me an alarm. And by the way, these also have voice both directions, so you can talk to the person just like in a Ring camera. You can talk to the other person, or you can yell at them and scare them. They can talk back and you can hear them, or you can just record what they're saying. If they're trying to break into your house, you can, if they say, you know, their accomplice's name or whatever, or if you catch them in the act and you're not home, you could pan the camera around and look for their car and so on. But I don't want to get into too many details here. I'm basically trying to show you how to get it set up, and then you decide what you're going to do with it. But I'm going to focus on how to do home security. So I'm going to pause this now.